Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my.
Oh no! The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
This podcast contains sexual references, coarse language, and adult themes from the beginning and throughout. It is not recommended for listeners under the age of 15.
Guess what, lovers? The Bachelorette, there's always a catch, is back on stage in 2021. First up, The Mill, Adelaide Fringe Festival, from the 18th to the 28th of February, 7:30. Tickets on sale at the Adelaide Fringe website. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm your host, Carla Anita Mattiazzo, and today's guest is Sarah Lloyd / Sarah Day. She's a singer, songwriter, vocal coach. She was on The Voice Season 1 and Australian Idol. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. That was such a cute little intro. I love it. Thanks. I feel all special now.
So let's tell everybody how we know each other. Do you want to give your side and then I'll give my side and we'll see if we can meet in the middle?
Well, I don't know how you'd feel about this term, but I affectionately called us the music nerds at Cabra College.
Yeah.
And we were just the coolest, and any opportunity to perform, I think we took, didn't we? And it sort of flowered from there. What's your version of events? What have I forgotten?
I remember we became close when we did, and wait for it, ladies and gentlemen, because this musical is not fucking known anywhere. The Hunchback of Nostradamus. Like, what the actual fuck? I feel like they did every second time they did a musical, they did a really shit cheap one, and we just landed with the cheapo.
Like, thanks. Yeah, that's great. I did see, I forgot about that. There you go.
Yeah. And that kind of leads us into one of your high school boyfriends, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Oh, dear. Oh, no. This is a bad idea. No. Oh, dear.
So before we get into that, let's rewind and go straight back to crushes. Can you remember any of your crushes from maybe, well, some people have even said they've had crushes in kindy that they remember. So where was your first crush?
I had a crush on, I don't know, I thought it was a crush, but I think I more just felt sorry for him. He was one of the... He was the guy that everyone picked on, and he had glasses, and his name was Josh, and I felt really sorry for him, so I decided to call him my boyfriend. And then I think this was in like year 1, and then we both got picked on, so it didn't really work out well for either of us in the end. But no, let's see, crushes. Gosh, I've had so many crushes on people that I just didn't feel the same way. Yeah. From gay men to, just interesting situations.
That's what I think all of us in the creative sphere, especially with musical theatre, would have definitely had a crush on a gay boy. definitely.
They're just so beautiful.
Yeah.
How could you not? Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So from crushes, I usually like to talk about high school relationships as training wheel relationships. We work out what our boundaries are, what we like, what we don't like, without the pressure of being an adult on top of all that stuff. So can you walk me through some of your training wheel relationships and what you learned?
Well, I had one, I had a relationship with a boy, and he was part of the popular group. So I went from being the music nerd to the popular group in like a second. I was just all about it. No, and he was lovely. He was great until he lost interest. And then broke up with me on Valentine's Day.
Oh, perfect.
And then after he'd broken up, he was one of those, people that go and badmouth you after the breakup. Whereas during, it was all beautiful. It was wonderful, and I had no. So that was my first experience of that sort of vengeful kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know even where that comes from. Why people all of a sudden decide to hate their exes for no
Yeah. Maybe it's a maturity thing. Oh,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe getting in
boys.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of getting in first, making sure that he badmouths me before I badmouth him or something like that. So
yeah, so his ego's intact. Yeah.
And then, there was a boy at Cabra, and I still hold him close to my heart. He was gay. And I was the first one he told about it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
And so, and he's just so beautiful. So in that instance, I probably learnt to, if they say that they're gay, don't fall in love with them. Maybe try and don't try and think, oh, that's fine. I can turn them back to the female form. That's fine, I'm not all that. I can't do that.
And you guys are really cute together. You guys are super cute.
Oh, I thought so, but no.
So how did that conversation come about? Were you guys like dating when he was like, I've got to tell you something, or how did that happen?
No, so we weren't even dating at the point. We were, canoodling at parties and flirting and like talking every night on the phone. So it was going into that sort of area, of course. And I think, he just got to the point where he out of respect for me, he thought it's time to tell Sarah. And I was so honoured, and I'm still today so honoured that I was the first one he told. Like, that's pretty,
That's a big thing.
Huge. That's huge. And, we were speaking on the phone one night, one of our many 3-hour conversations, and at the end of it, he's like, I've just got something to tell you. I don't know how to put it, and I don't even think he ever said the word gay. I don't think he could even bring himself to say it. He just sort of alluded to it.
Yeah.
And then once I'd guessed it, he was like, yeah, that's what it is, and I'm so sorry, and, all that. It was just, it was so heartbreaking. And then, then after that, he asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend for the remainder of, So I was a year ahead of him. I think I was in year 12 at that time, so I only had a year. And I was like, yep, okay, that's fine, because I was already head over heels in love with him. And I was like, that's cool, I can pretend. And then eventually I was there with him when he, there for him when he told his family, first his sister and then the rest of his family. And so I'm grateful for the experience as well, because I think it brought us closer.
Yeah.
And and he's such a beautiful soul. It was a bit cute, actually. The story's a bit cute. Now I'm over the heartbreak. Now I'm over the horror. It was a bit cute. So
how did you go from pretending to be his girlfriend and then having to break up, in inverted commas, for him to be able to come out to everybody? How did that go?
So that was actually made a little bit easier, because after I left school, obviously I wasn't around so much. And I think the story that he probably got everyone to believe was that just we sort of drifted. And then once he'd left school, he went to Italy for a little while.
That's right. Yep.
And it just sort of went from there. So we didn't have to put on a show with that one. So
oh, that's good.
I'm glad about that because the acting would have been a bit tough on that one. But yeah, so that was a doozy. That was a doozy of a high school relationship that wasn't really a relationship. I don't know. It's very confusing.
So other than working out that when a guy tells you he's gay, don't fall in love with him, what other lessons did you learn, Sarah, from that, about yourself in particular?
Yeah, about myself. Yeah, that's right. There's the one main one that we all struggle with, I think, as women, is to put yourself first and to actually think about what you're getting out of every situation and whether it's up to, what you deserve. And obviously in that situation, it definitely wasn't what I deserved. Which I feel so horrible for saying, but, it's
no,
not,
I understand. Yeah.
So that, that was one thing that I thought, that's time to really look into.
Yeah.
Getting what I needed out of relationships. And also like being there for someone through something that, I guess, would you call it traumatic? I guess it is in a way traumatic to come out to all your friends and family. I learnt that I actually really loved being there for someone in that sort of situation.
Yeah.
So in my life now, I've sort of gone into working with people that are struggling. So, for instance, my family fosters children, and
oh wow, cool.
I teach foster kids, and all that sort of
brilliant
all that sort of stuff. Trying to help people that are struggling through life, and I don't really know. I don't really care what they're struggling with. Just trying to help them work out their stuff.
Yeah, that's great, Sarah. That's really good. So, why do you think, as females in particular, why do you think we have to consciously remind ourselves to check in with ourselves? Why do you think do you think it's a DNA thing that we're the nurturers, or why do you think we need to? Because I totally agree. Why do you think we need to keep checking in with ourselves to see if this is in line with what we want?
Yeah, I do think it's the nurturing thing because, if you think about it, it's always a common complaint amongst women that we are just trying to mould ourselves into someone else's idea of what they should be and what life should be, and it makes sense because it makes the other person more comfortable and the other person feel more loved, and then in turn we get this this sort of kick from helping them feel like that, but then at the same time we're not feeling like that at all, so we get into this lull. It's such a strange thing, isn't it? Like, it's so strange. And for me personally, it takes me a long time to realize, oh, hang on, I'm doing it again. Wait, all right, I've got to rewind, and then once you decide to confront whoever, it can be a friendship, it can be a romantic relationship, anything like that. Once you decide, no, actually, I'm not happy in this
scenario,
you decide to confront the person or just chat to them, then they get offended. Have you noticed that as well? It's like once you start to explain to them, and you can do it as nicely as you like, explain to them that you're not happy and the points of what's happening in your heart and in your mind, they get instantly offended, and it's like, how dare you have an opinion on how it should be going, and people get their noses out of whack. So it's such a hard
because it's breaking the mold of what they expect you to be, because if they're expecting you to be the nurturer, you always putting yourself last, checking in with them all the time, then once you actually assert yourself and go, I'm just bringing to the table what my wants and needs are, and I don't really feel that they're being met, that is shattering the expectation and the mold that people assume that you're in. And that's maybe why people go, oh, hang on, well, this is offensive because you shouldn't be like this.
That's right, exactly. And then it all falls apart. So it's, and I'm still trying to master it. Like, I'm in no way have I got the hang of it at all. But we really need to try and make sure that we keep strong right from the start of any relationship, working or friendship or otherwise, and make sure that they know where that line is, you know?
Yeah.
So, so tricky.
It is super tricky. So I imagine that I find it really hard being myself and setting boundaries without worrying about what other people are going to think. Even if I know that I'm setting this boundary in a respectful, kind way, I always worry about, how am I going to be perceived by setting a boundary? Because who am I to set any boundaries, you know?
I know, it's so sad that we feel like that, but I totally understand. I'm exactly the same. What's wrong with us, Carla?
I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Catchalorette and Friends. Make sure you follow the podcast at The Catchalorette Pod on Instagram. And if you think your love journey is worth sharing with me on the podcast, send me an email, thecatchalorettepod@gmail.com, or slide into my Instagram DMs. Oh, and don't forget to give the podcast a review and tell all your motherfucking people to listen to the show. Now let's get back to this episode. What happened after you finished high school?
Oh, I've got some doozies for you. Okay, so...
Perfect.
I went, you mentioned it before, I went on Australian Idol. And I had a little bit of no, it wasn't a little bit. I fell in love with him. He was just beautiful. He was one of the contestants on the show. Yeah. And I just thought he was it in a bit. And so let me try and remember how it worked. We did our auditions. We went to Sydney for the top 100 or something. Got talking then, and then went back home for I think 3 months, and we spoke on the phone again. The phone every
back
night,
in the day when people spoke on the phone, Sarah.
I know, it's so retro, isn't it? Oh, I feel so old. So we spoke every night, and he talked to my mum. He's like, oh, where's mum? Put her on the phone, and got to know the whole family. It was like, Jesus. Yeah, it was really cute. And then we went back for the top whatever it was. I can't remember, one of the shows, whatever we did. And we were official, like everyone knew we were boyfriend, girlfriend. It was pretty cute. It was great. And then I got booted off the show and he didn't. So he made it into the top 12, I think it was, and I had to be sent home. So then I got a call from a girl that I'd made friends with over there, and she was in the top 12 as well. And she said to me, I don't know how to break this to you, but, and I don't know whether I should mention his name, but such and such has been cheating on you, and I know that you're only a new relationship and everything, but I just think you should know that he's been
good on her,
and not trying to hide it. I was like, thank you. Oh, she was beautiful. She was a great person. So that was wonderful, and I confronted him. He said, no, not at all. I don't know what she's talking about. She's trying to start issues. It's just silliness. Don't listen to her. The next day, I think it was TV Week or something, one of those magazines, came out with photos of him in the spa with one of the other girls from the top 12 kissing, macking on. I thought, right, we're done. That's it. That was the first time I'd ever been cheated on too. So I was like, wow, this is epic. I'm reading about this magazine. So yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah,
and we
just split
from there, and yeah, it was a doozy. So that was good. That was great. Good experience. Tick that one off. Then let's see what else went from there. I had a relationship with a guy. So he was. I'm trying to think of which one to tell you about. So many. He's. I met up with him at a gig, and this was so I've been with the gay guy, I've been with the guy who's, I suppose he was famous at the time,
Yeah.
Idol.
Yeah.
Now we'll go to the commitment phobe.
Excellent. Always so much fun.
So much fun, this guy.
Oh,
we met at one of my gigs, and it was a corporate gig, so we were all tizzed up in our, long dresses and suits and everything, and he came up to me after we'd finished when I was packing up, and he was so smooth and lovely, and we had went on to have I think it was about a 5-month relationship, and then it was like bam, nothing, like no calls, no texts, just cold turkey.
So he ghosted you?
Absolutely ghosted me. That's the term. That's the one. And then we. Obviously, eventually I got hold of him, and he sort of broke up with me. Wasn't very nice, wasn't anything spectacular. It was just, we're done. 3 months after, he decided that he wanted me back. He asked me out on a date, and I felt so bad at the time, but looking back, it was just such sweet revenge. We decided to meet up at the movies.
Yeah.
And we were going to meet at Norwood, the Norwood Movie Theatre. We were going to meet out the front and go see a movie, then go get ice cream or whatever like that. I can't remember the exact situation, but there was no way that I could contact him. My car had broken down. I think my phone was flat or something. I couldn't contact anyone. It was just like dire straits. I had no way of getting there and no way of letting him know. And I stood him up.
Suck shit, buddy.
Oh, felt so bad. Anyway, I did feel bad until eventually I got home, charged my phone, talked to him, and he went off his cracker at me. He was so mad, which I get it. Like, you don't want to be stood up. That's how embarrassing. But I had explained my situation at the same time. And that's when eventually Sarah got tough, because I get pushed so much, but then eventually I get tough and you don't want to cross me. And I just let it all out to him, and I was just like, maybe you shouldn't have broken up with me if you really
what a hypocrite.
What a hypocrite. So that's I was probably quite happy to say goodbye to that one.
Yeah, brilliant. Awesome.
But yeah, gosh, there's been some amazing doozies in my life as far as love goes, and learnt a lot about what not to do and who not to look at.
Okay, so who not to look at? Give us a list of what the credentials are of somebody to not gaze on, Sarah.
It's really bad to generalise, but one of my rules before I got married was no more musos. It's really bad to say, because there are some lovely musos, and since I've made that little promise to myself, I've met lovely musos, and I'm sure they're wonderful, but not for me. Not for me. I think I don't know, two musicians or two performers in one relationship just does not work. And you're nodding, so you can agree with that one. Yeah. So that's one thing, and it might not be anything to do with personality. I don't know. It just doesn't work. It's just wrong. So that's one thing. Also egos, which probably goes hand in hand with the muso thing. Egos are just such a turn off to me now. Yeah. They get you in to start off with, and then it's like not great.
Yeah, the big noting and having to list off how many things that they've, you know, conquered and achieved, and look at me and look at all the equipment that I have in my studio. It costs this much money. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, man. Like, I don't care.
No.
It just
really
makes them sound douchey.
It really does. It really does. And it's kind of, I find it really, I find it a bit wussy. I don't know. It's just such a turn off. It's just like,
I feel you.
Yeah, a man shouldn't have to boast about that sort of stuff.
No.
And then lastly, just, you know, someone, I was looking for someone that would value the relationship as much as I would, which seems so simple, but we lose sight of that in trying to accommodate for someone else's wants and needs. So that was a doozy as well. That's a big one to try and remember. I remember I was in a relationship with a guy. It was a long relationship, and we were quite serious. And he was a muso. He had the huge ego. We did all these gigs together, and it was just always on his terms. Everything that we did was always on his terms.
Yeah.
The gigs were always in like, he'd book the gigs, always in his name, and he'd never tell me how much we'd be getting paid as the duo. He'd just pay me, which is, you know, it's fine if you're not in a relationship, but it's a little bit dodgy if you're not.
Yeah.
If you are.
Would I know this person? I think I know who you're talking about.
You might.
I think I know who you're talking about. Okay, keep going.
No, I just got to the point with that person that I was actually at a wedding with as a guest with him, and I got quite upset by the end of the night. I had a few champagnes at this point, but I just couldn't stop getting really teary and crying and going into myself.
Sarah.
And eventually I went and sat in his car because I just was so upset, because I'd watched this beautiful ceremony of these two people, like, just telling each other how much they adored each other, and this love that was so fiery and beautiful. And I looked at him and I was like, this is just not what we have. I think it was 4 years in, and we're like, what? Why am I here? And
what am I doing?
In that car, in that moment, I'm looking within myself, and I'm like, why am I in a relationship with this person when I'm not getting what I want out of it? And the only thing I could come up with was, he won't cheat on me. And I was like, wow, that's really not a good sign if that's the only thing I can think of why I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
So it ended pretty soon.
Oh, good. If you subscribe on patreon.com/thecatchlorettepod, you get early access to episodes, not to mention keeping the pod alive for as little as $1 a month. Subscribe now. Patreon.com/thecatchlorettepod. So how'd you meet your husband, Sarah? How did that, because I went to primary school with him. I think he was the year under me at primary school.
You went to high school with him too.
Fuck, did I?
Yeah, you did. So we met
No,
at high
I
school.
didn't.
Yeah. We met
How embarrassing.
Yeah, he was at Cabra. So, I don't think we ever spoke at Cabra, ever, because he was this sporty jockey.
What year did he finish?
2005.
Okay, so a year after me. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, so we never even spoke. I talked to him when we got together. I was telling him about this hilarious day at school when I got caught in the school lift. You know that lift that we had in, I don't know what building it was. Anyway.
Yeah, St. Mary's, I think.
The one, yeah. And it was, I think it said maximum 8 people, and we had 9 in there or something, and the lift broke down and the lights went out, and I was telling him this story, and he said, yeah, he said, I was in that lift. And I said, no, you weren't. He was like, no, I really, really was. And he listed off all these people that were in the lift with us. I was like, oh my gosh. So that's how much we weren't on each other's radar at all. At all.
Oh, Sarah, that's so funny.
But as fate has it, I think it was 5 years after we graduated, and I was doing a gig at the old Warradale.
Oh, yeah.
And he was there with he plays baseball. He was with his baseball mates.
Yeah.
And he actually got one of his friends to come up to me and say, are you Sarah Lloyd? And I was like, yep. He's like, do you remember Tim Day? And I'm like, oh yeah, I think so. From school.
Like that.
And that's where love blossomed. So the sporty jock dude that I thought was just such a dickhead turned out to be just gorgeous, and I fell head over heels in love with him.
So how did he get you on a date, Sarah? So what was the wooing process? I want to hear Tim's skills. Let's hear it, Sarah.
Facebook helped.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So instead of chatting on the phone for hours, we just chatted over Facebook a lot. He sent me a screenshot the other day, actually, of his first message to me, you know, when you're not even friends yet on Facebook, but you message each other. And it was something like, hey, Sarah, it was great to see you, great to catch up. You looked and sounded gorgeous tonight. And then he put ... where is this taxi going? So it was just like random as. And then we just got chatting, and he's just divine. I think, it was 3 months after we sort of met that I moved in with him and moved out. So
cute.
So yeah, he's a beautiful man. Very
well done. Well done. Well done.
Round of applause.
So how did he propose? What was the proposal like, Sarah?
So he took me to a picnic in the Botanic Gardens.
Cute.
And everyone says to me, like, how did you not know that something was going to happen if your boyfriend takes you on a picnic? Because it's just so, you know, it's so where it would happen in the Botanic Gardens. But he's such that sort of person. He'd probably hate me for saying this because, you know.
He's got street cred he wants to keep.
But sorry, babe. He's a big softie and he's a big romantic. So it was always something that we would do, either down the beach. We loved our picnics. Anyway, so set up the picnic, and he took me to the, I don't know how well you know the gardens.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, the wisteria arches there.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And he's like, oh, as a day job, I say day job because he loves his baseball so much, but as a day job, he's a landscaper. So he used the excuse, I've got to find these wisteria arches because I have to work out what I'm doing for this job or something. I was like, okay, whatever.
Some bullshit, yep.
Yeah. So sat down. I was so hungry, as I am. I'm all about my food. So I sat down and started feeding my face straight away. And he's like, I'm just going to go have a look through, and you keep eating. You stay there, and I'll go. I was, okay, good. I had my cheese. I was happy. And then he beckoned me in, and he was like pretending to show me the arches. And then he looked at me and he said, I've got a present for you. And I was like, what? Like, it wasn't a special occasion or anything.
Yeah.
He gave me this piece of paper, and I unfolded it, and it was for the next day. It was tickets to a bridal expo. And me being so dumb, I was like, thank you. Cool. I don't know what you're doing right now. Like, it just did not occur to me. I think at one point I thought maybe it was something like, because I sing at a lot of weddings, like something to do with my singing or something. I don't know.
Oh, Sarah.
He goes, I know, what the hell? He goes, yeah, look, and he pointed to the bridal expo. I was like, okay. And then he started to get down on one knee, and that's when I was like,
Yeah.
he said, yeah, nodded, and I was like, oh my God. So got down on one knee, popped the question. I was crying, he was crying, and he had my best friend disguised in a big floppy hat taking photos. And it was just beautiful. It was so yummy. It was such a beautiful moment. So, yeah.
Well done,
yes.
Tim. Well done.
Yeah, he's a cute.
Okay, so how long were you engaged for before you got married, Sarah?
So 2 years we were
Yeah.
engaged. I don't know why we left it so long. We just sort of took our time to organise everything and find a venue and all that sort of stuff. And it was a little bit less stress that way, I think, rather than with those sort of people. Like if there's a way that we can get out of stressing too much, that's what we're going to do. Take out time. But yeah, so 2 years, and then we tied the knot.
Where did you get married? Where did you get married?
So we got married at a little church here in Plimpton. It's a bit of an unknown one, but beautiful little hidden church, and it was just gorgeous. And then for the reception, we went to the Palais.
Oh, lovely.
On the deck, yeah, and it was gorgeous. And we decked it out with, I kind of wanted it as like a magical forest theme, so I had lots of fairy lights and, greenery everywhere and flowers.
Gorgeous.
And, yeah, it looked a little bit like a fairy tale, so.
Very nice, Sarah. That's lovely.
Yeah, it was a bit cute. I sang myself down the aisle. That's one thing.
Oh, wow. What song was it?
It was Perfect by Ed Sheeran and Beyonce.
Yeah.
I got the Festival Statesman to sing the Ed Sheeran part.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah. I know, Jono. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So that was really beautiful, and the boys just did such an awesome job of it. So, and then, it was a bit hard walking down the aisle with a mic, a bouquet, and holding Dad's arm. But I juggled it okay. But yeah, so it was just beautiful. It was a gorgeous day.
Yeah, that sounds divine, Sarah. That sounds divine. So I saw the little video on how you told Tim about the baby. That was really cute.
Yeah, my little surprise to him. Yeah, it was. I can't watch that without crying now. So
that's hormones, baby. Hormones.
I know. I can't do anything without crying these days. We've got two little fur babies, two little miniature Aussie bulldogs.
Yes.
And got some jumpers, and I couldn't find anything with big sister or big brother on it, so I just wrote it in Sharpie.
Yeah.
on the jumpers. But that's it. I'm just gonna have to do it that way. And and they greeted Tim at the door with their new jumpers, and it took him a little while to realise what was going on. So, but eventually the penny dropped, and so happy. It was, again, it was just one of those delicious moments that I'm so glad I got on camera, for starters.
Yeah.
We'll treasure that forever. It was just
you can play it at their 18th birthday.
I'm sure they'll be thrilled with that. I'm sure they'll just love that. Not embarrassing at all.
So what are the plans for Bub? Have you got the room and stuff all set up?
Well, Timmy and I are actually in the process of moving house.
Oh, Jesus, Sarah.
Yeah, so I'm 32 weeks now. Haven't got very long, and we're moving house. So I haven't been able to nest at all yet. Got everything, but it's all still in boxes.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really, really itching to do that. And I can't wait to set it all up, because, it's just nice to get everything nested and ready, and also we're not finding out the sex until the day.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, made sure that we've got everything gender neutral, and yeah, just can't wait to get it all sorted. Hopefully before baby gets here.
Yeah. How are you feeling about labour, Sarah? Have you had anybody like give you some helpful hints? Have you been reading books? What have you been doing to prepare for labour?
So yeah, no, definitely lots of advice from people who have been through it, which is super, super handy. Been Googling the crap out of it, of course, which I've been told not to do, but as if you're not going to do it, you know, it's right there. The thing is, so everyone talks about getting your labour plan into order and, you know, laminating it and making sure that you've got exactly what you want. I'm so someone that would be disappointed if I put that much thought and effort into how I wanted labour to go and it didn't happen. I would be so disappointed. So I've decided not to do that at all. As long as baby and I are healthy and, you know, we can leave that hospital safe. Yeah, I'm good, you know. So yeah, definitely a hospital birth, and trying not to think about how much it's going to hurt, but trying to think about the end result. Which,
yes. Have you spoken to anybody about hypnobirthing?
You know, no, I haven't, and I'm so keen to hear about that.
Yeah, I've had a few friends do it. Like, obviously I don't have kids, but I've had a few friends do it, and that's probably a route that I would seriously consider, because it works from what I understand, and I don't know heaps about it, Sarah, so I can put you in touch with people who do. It, like, you go with your body and it like positions to birth the baby in with gravity assisting you, like the different positions. And apparently lying on your back is the worst position because of the way the pelvis is, I don't know, situated or whatever. So there's some really interesting stuff that I can get you some people, because as I said, I only know very, very little, but it sounds super duper interesting, and I reckon it'd be
so keen.
So good info for you too, just like to have options, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm very open-minded with that. Only thing I'm not open-minded with is water births, because I think that's gross.
That's fair.
Can't do that. But yes, so keen to hear about that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you info.
Hook me up.
So before I love and leave you, Sarah, do you have any tidbits or any advice to the single people out there on finding love and their happy ever after?
Oh, well, that's okay. So that's one thing I probably missed out with mine and Timmy's story, is that it was the typical thing of, I'd been heartbroken so many times, and I decided one day, you know, I'm just going to go out and have fun and not worry about commitment from anyone. I'm just going to, you know, be a free spirit for a little while and just try and relax with the whole dating situation. And then that's when Tim came along. So as soon as I sort of chilled out a little bit, that's when it all happened, which I know is so infuriating to hear, because it's like, really? Really? But yeah, I think that's one thing. I think some people it's probably a bit like the labour thing, like you put together your list of what you want and what you don't want and stick to it and hold on to it for dear life. Whereas mine was no musos, and then my sport man came along. So, you know, a little bit of that. But I don't know. I think just hang in there. It's just tricky out there, and especially with bloody COVID now. How are you meant to go out and meet people? Yeah. You know?
And South Australia, with the ratio of, in our age bracket, the ratio of single men and single women are very in their favour.
Yeah. Lucky boys. But no, definitely. And I think, one thing that I always loved was, which isn't Timmy and I at all, is, trying to establish a friendship with someone before you jump in and start a relationship, which is also tricky if you're not working with the other sex or in contact with them or anything. But I think if you can find a way to do that, that would be cool too. But I don't know. I'm no guru. I just got really, really lucky with my man. And I think my lucky stars, to be honest. And I should have gone out with him in high school, but I just thought he was a bit of a noober.
It's okay. It's all about timing. It's all about timing, Sarah. All about timing. Yeah. Thank you so much for this morning, madam. I hope you have a delightful birth, as delightful as they can be.
Oh, dear.
And I'm sure Tim will be there holding your hand, supporting you and cheering you on. I'm sure he will be.
If he doesn't faint, yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be great.
Can't wait to see the new little bubba, and I hope to see you soon around Fringe and stuff.
Yes, please. That would be amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Carla. It was so much fun.
The Catchalorette, with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys.
Ooh,
The Catchalorette and friends. See you next time, if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.